Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3D Hangouts. It's been a two week break. We've had 2 weeks off because they happened to fall on major holidays. I think we would have come in anyway, but it was sort of nice to have a break. I'm here in New York City, in the heart of the Adafruit factory, and with me, as always, Noe Pedro Ruiz at Adafruit South. How are you guys doing? How'd you enjoy the break?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, guys. We're good, Matt. It's we've been working still when we have chances and printing and
Hanging out with
reviewing,
family, hanging out with kids.
them, of course.
Still printing out new, testing out new materials, testing out new printers. Painted, got some new lights up, new couches. So
Big projects in the works.
It's been busy, yeah.
And we're gonna have a real awesome project for you guys next week. But this week we got some cool stuff as well. Matt, why don't you tell us what we do here every week?
Well, we get together every week here, and we share we share the latest 3D printing news, designs from the Adafruit Workbench, projects from the community, and everything we can to help you make better 3D printed projects with electronics.
Oh yeah. So we got some segments for you guys. We always start off the show with what are you prototyping? We got some cool things to show off for future works. Then we're going to jump into some 3D news. CES is happening, so we'll talk about all the cool things there. Weekly video, this week it's a review of a new printer. We'll find out in a short notice. We have a quick layer-by-layer segment. It's going to be a layer-by-layer. Yeah, chamfers. And Matt, you're going to share an awesome community spotlight.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because I'm sharing the sort of the year 2014 year in review pieces that a bunch of members of the 3D community shared with us, and we had a lot of fun sharing those with you guys.
Very cool. We'll be talking about it very soon.
So what are some of the things that you guys have been doing? I mean, yeah, we didn't have a show, but we still had 3D Thursday, and we still have been busy with 3D stuff.
That's right. So let's go ahead, jump into our segment. What are you prototyping?
All right, so one of the materials that we are carrying is the SemiFlex. We talked about this a little bit before. Offers more rigidity, you can use less material, still maintain the same flexibility. Prints come out way higher quality than the regular NinjaFlex, so we'll be talking about that. Just testing some tolerances here on the MiniPov project. You can also check out.
So this stuff is out right now in the shop. You can get it, and we'll be doing a video review, very detailed review, on comparing it against flexible nylon and the original NinjaFlex stuff. So again, this is from Fenner Drives. It's in the Adafruit shop right now. What other cool things you got, Pedro?
So we finally got the battery holders that we used on the
the
camera display project. Cool little case that was printed on the Orion printer, which we'll talk about later in the show.
Yeah, and
so we're using the LP camcorder battery here from our 7D and 5D cameras that we have here, so very fancy here. And the new 3.5-inch display. Got a nice little Pi little enclosure here for it. It's a Raspberry Pi in there with the 3.5 power boost, so nice little portable little enclosure here. Do a future episode on this. Doing some testing on it.
Yeah, it's an all-in-one device to make a portable Pi. Pretty cool. And then, real quick, sneak peek. You guys remember this one? This is the big brother.
Everybody asked for speakers.
Or sister.
Yeah.
Your screen, the LNR buttons and NinjaFlex up here.
And a joystick from the Cupcade project that Phil B designed. So very excited about this project. We just had to show it and tease it just a little bit more.
Yeah, it was so massive, a 16-page tutorial, so we had to push it back a week.
Yeah.
But coming very soon.
It's very detailed and thorough. So that's our segment. It's a little bit much. Matt, did you have any?
Yeah,
have anything for us?
Sure and tell, but I know we'll be featuring the the video review of the Orion in the shop, and I've spent a lot of time these last couple of weeks working with mine and tuning and tweaking Cura profiles back and forth with Pedro and all.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Beauty, which has been really fun. I'm mostly spending my time working to finish my draft of my book. So lots of fun insights to share, and not as many printed pieces.
Well, it's a lot of 3D printing research. Can't wait to see. I think we're in there, right?
Oh yes, yeah. You guys are featured.
Cool.
So-
Let's go ahead and jump into 3D news then. CES is going on right now, and there's a lot of 3D printing news going on.
So yeah,
Somebody.
it's the big time of the year for folks to launch, their projects. There's even a section at CES this year, and CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, and it's sort of the main place that consumer electronics are launched each year for buyers and stores to consider and that kind of thing. 3D printing has sort of picked this time as a key time to launch the desktop and some new technology that appeals to the whole kind of landscape. And here they have their whole space where a bunch of the companies are now sort of getting together in the same place. That's very different than usually when sort of all the 3D printing companies were kind of scattered, where they could get a booth and kind of jockeying for position. And so that's a departure from before. We've been hearing back. We're not. None of us are there right now, but we've been hearing a lot of stuff down the grapevine from people who are there. Some of the new printers and new technologies that are launching there. They're interesting. They're exciting. But it kind of like a crowdfunding kind of adventure. Some of these things, they won't appear in a way that they can be used for a while, and they might even like change and transmute. So it's a good sort of like time to take a pulse of what's going on and what might happen, even though a lot of these things won't be in our hands for a while.
Right on. And it's interesting to see a lot of new brands. That's very cool.
A lot of specific uses for printing.
Trying some new technologies, like the SLA printer from XYZ and such.
Yeah, that one looks awesome, yeah.
I know you guys wanted to share the launch of the ulzbot Mini. Do you have a video for that?
Yeah, sure. So we got this video from 3D Printing Industry. It looks like they had a little first look. So this is the ulzbot Mini printing in action right now at the show floor. As far as specs and things go,
looks like they're getting ready to launch this. Here's a couple of the poking around their FTP. Looks like they got their boxes printed out.
Poking around their FTP.
It's open source. It lets you poke
Yeah,
around
that's
in
right.
there.
Okay,
Looking
so
for some
some
press materials.
They're printing them out. They're making them. So
yeah, it's an all-metal hot-end auto bed leveling. It's using the metal washers that are on the side to create the contact to get the probe in there.
Z-probe.
Yeah, so it's
Very
using the
cool.
nozzle as the Z-probe, I think, is what they say.
So their biggest feature is about more automation, right? So
yeah, there's a cool little G-code automated
configuring.
script.
Okay.
Yeah. It like sort of wipes the nozzle clean, so it could do the bed leveling.
We're looking at a 152 by 152 by 152 millimeter build volume, and heated bed.
Heated bed up to 120. I think the nozzle goes up to 300.
300. That's crazy. They're telling it's much faster. It looks a lot like it's printing a lot faster.
They switched to a different drive rod system that they're kind of excited about, and it's pretty burly, even though it's not a very big printer compared to their massive TAS series. But I think that probably appealed to a lot of people who are wanting to try this stuff, who don't necessarily want to invest in the bigger one. And that auto leveling thing, it will really make a difference, because it's they're trying a different approach than some of the other auto leveling approaches, with the hope that you won't have to sit there and have it develop a knack for how to interpret that first layer so that you get good results. That's one of the things that really delays a lot of people in adopting 3D.
First layer.
I get to work. They're doing the same thing other people are doing. This will take some of the mystery out and should make it easier for you to execute files more similarly to other people with the same model. Interesting.
Yeah, can't wait to get these in the shop. We're partnered with them, so we'll be launching all.
That's right. Yeah. So you'll be seeing us using it in future projects as soon as we get our hands on it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So cool. More information on that. Check out our blog, adafruit.com/blog. Next piece, Matt.
The polar printer. Let's see here.
Which one? The polar printer. Yeah, I got the.
I love experiments in trying different types of automation and robotic systems for printing. Usually, they're not only sort of fun to watch, they help you think about what what your theories are about how this stuff works, and kind of enlarge it a little bit. So yeah, here's the this piece just launched at CES, correct?
Yeah.
That's where we're getting the most attention.
Yep.
And so the platform is rotating, keeping the head in sort of more of a fixed position, rising up the Z.
That's right. And the platter seems to move on the Y, and then there's a Z that comes up and down, which is pretty different. Mainly because the way it's going to interpret G-code, you're going to need your like a standalone app to slice your files. So it's a little bit different, but it's very cool to see that you can it's able to print on the outside of the perimeters that right on the edge of the platform, which is really cool. If you know about a Delta style, you're not going to print all the way on the edge of the perimeter, but this printer seems to do it pretty well.
Yeah, specs behind it looks like it's an 8-inch diameter by 6 inches tall. That's pretty good.
It's pretty big, yeah.
And
it's great that it's already in schools. Already in school.
So yeah,
$7.99
students are already sort of learning from this and learning about kind of other ways to handle linear motion
Very cool.
and interpret these things. And the with the deltas, it was a huge advantage when a lot of the processing of the delta specific commands became something that could be run by the firmware, so that you could use the same G-code. So likely, this tool, like a lot of the other sort of experiments, as there's more adoption, there'll be more tools to make it easier to use it with other systems and other files. But you can do a couple of things that are unusual, including like where physically you mount that machine. I mean, the desktop one, it's not going to be that much different than some of these other like DeltaBot experiences. But you really could, place them in different locations, pack them up in different ways to take them to
trade shows
for very specific applications.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's a new thing.
Yeah.
And let's take a quick look at that electronics printer.
Sure. So this is Voxel 8 printer from Voxel Labs, and this is a printer that is specially designed to print integrated circuits. So they've partnered with Autodesk to make software that allows you to draw traces and drop in electronic components into your STL files. And the biggest demo that they have here is that they designed and they 3D printed an integrated quadcopter that has all the components in it. And so what the printer is able to do is it has two nozzles, one that's specifically spitting out conductive silver ink while the other one's printing out PLA. So when you switch between the two, it knows when to stop so that you can manually input the components and circuits where they need to be. So this is a very, very different approach to printing. We see things like from other mill that are making specific like PCB and printing electronics, and then this is like sort of bringing the two together. It's not really subtractive at all, but it's very unique. And it's pretty different.
Yeah, you're able to draw the traces up walls and things like that. One of the things that we immediately see is, especially here in the case of the quadcopter that they're making everything embedded. It doesn't look like it's really modular, so if like all quadcopters, if you crash it, you're going to break the arm. Everything's going to be embedded inside there, and you're going to be like, oh, great, there's my part. So one of the things we're going to be focusing on once we get to getting printers like this is how to make those modular, so where like the snap fit together parts actually connect to the rest of the trace. So it's not like an enclosed system like an iPhone or something. You can't even get the battery out.
Yeah, I think that we'll have to find a medium of where we can design something modular, but still pieces are integrated.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things about this kind of technology that is interesting, there are certain times that you really would want something completely, embedded in a physical object, including like medical environments, underwater,
toys.
that kind of thing. So, sensors. So, now that you have this in your tool belt, you have to think about why you need it. And a really small footprint, really light thing like a quadcopter, that's a pretty interesting proof of concept. So before we jump off the news, I wanted to share one of the features of the blog today. There are a bunch of posts that are kind of roundups of what happened in 3D Thursday, all the 3D printing posts in 2014. And we published 1,458 pieces last year. And so this post from this morning shows the ones that sort of got the most numbers of views. So it's an interesting grouping, and it's not necessarily what we would have anticipated. And there are a couple of topic ones up that we recommend you take a look at. This is collecting the medicine ones. Some really neat projects there. One for architecture. Similarly, get sort of glimpses into things happening all year. It was a very active year for architecture. Education, some really neat projects and new resources available in here. And art. So take a look at those and review your experiences of last year as you get ready for what's coming up the next year. So let's dive right into the Orion piece.
Yeah, so about almost 7 weeks ago now, we got our Orion Delta 3D printer. Now we've had it in the shop for a little bit. Matt, you've been testing it longer than we have, but it's cool to start testing our projects on it and seeing what it can do. So
yeah, I covered it as I wrote the review for the Make shootout this year, and I've been using one since then.
Yeah, totally. So this is the Delta style 3D printer. It has a heated build platform that is removable. It's using a glass plate that you can put some blue tape on, or some glue stick, or anything else that you want to put on there. We really like the design of it because it's really compact. All the electronics are fitted underneath the printer. There's some other printers out there that kind of have it on the side, and it's very chunky. Yeah. But this integrates all the circuits into the bottom there, and you can quickly get access to it by removing that LCD panel with thumb screws.
Yeah, I love the building materials here. They're using wood and metal and plexiglass here, or acrylic, sorry.
Right. So Delta style printers, this is our first Delta style printer that we've ever had. It's using 3 carriages, or they call them cheapskates, that go up on the z-axis on these rods, and they're shear rods. And really, the way to level this thing is that each of these carriages have an end trigger stop screw. So if you're familiar with the end trigger stops micro switches, they're usually on the very back of the machine. This is just 3 of them on the top, and you adjust this little screw, you tighten it or you loosen it, really to level it.
Yeah, the linear motion all moves up and down. So those tuning those is really, really crucial. And it is kind of a point of failure. You have to be very careful.
Sure. Now, when I got the printer, I started printing out, and out of the box, I got some dimensionally inaccurate parts. But that was because I had a loose cheapskate. So yep. I worked with you on finding out, well, what's the problem here. And it just ended up it was just one of the carriages were loose, and I just tightened it up with a simple wrench here.
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting about the cheapskate, and this is used for a couple of the other types of Delta printers. So there are these eccentric cams, that they're drilled off center, and so you can rotate them and make sure that your carriage is riding really smoothly up and down the tower, so that you're not introducing any wobble. Then it's going to calculate the right position.
That's right, and you make sure it's not too tight. It's got to, like you said, it's got to be nice and
able to move on it.
Yeah. So another thing that's different from it, this is a Bowden system, meaning that the filament loader is actually separate from the nozzle, and really for that, the benefit of having that is that you're going to have a faster nozzle because there's no weight on it, right? The motor isn't on top of that. But then the sort of downside is that it's not going to work so well with TPE material like Nigiflex, but it seems to work pretty well with flexible nylon filament. So we have also a video on that one. where I print a couple things out with flexible nylon using the Orion Delta printer. That was last week. This week, Orion.
Well, I mean, just to follow up on that,
Yeah.
that point, it really is an advantage looking at these new composite materials like the PC, PLA, for example, the Semiflex. It works a little bit better in this kind of scenario. So
Right on.
people are
And,
solving this from both sides.
Yeah, since it has that heated bed, we were able to print some PLA parts. Funny story is our MakerBot Replicator 1, since I was trying to print some parts on it, the little handle broke off, and I was like, oh man, let me print it on the Orion. So I printed on the Orion, very fast, very high quality at 100 microns, and it fixed our MakerBot.
Yeah, we had the other MakerBot printing the same part, and the Orion beat the pants off of it.
Yeah, it's just
like
faster.
twice as fast.
Faster to heat up, faster to print. Another feature that we like from it is it has a built-in SD card reader. I mean, most printers have that, but what's cool about this one is it's you can access it through the LCD there, and it's got the little rotary encoder, so you can get through your files much quicker. And it also has directory support, so you can have folders. And
one thing we forgot to mention, I like that it has a piezo, so it can actually alert you, do a little celebration song when it's done or before. I like that, little touches like that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I grabbed a little startup script that Matt Stoltz had put together that gave me some beats at the beginning and the end that
It
were
is.
friendly.
We gotta upload that.
No, I'm using it. That is the one. That's where I took it from. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's cool that we're using it and
It's
sharing.
on, is it on GitHub?
It's on GitHub.
the
Matt
profile
Stoltz's
for
profile
this?
is also on GitHub.
I'm going to share a blog post today showing you how to use it and where they are. But you can see them linked already on the store page. I mean the guide for the buyer's guide for printers.
Right on. So to level this guy, to level the bed and the carriages, we're gonna there's a little load, not a script, but you access it through the menu. It's called Calibrate Z Height, and that's the menu there. And you can home towers, or you can adjust the position of the Z. In this case, we're using a piece of paper as a feeler gauge to level our plate there. And you want to be careful here because you rotate it very, very slowly in order to get like really fine 0.01 millimeter movements. You can go past it and probably crack the glass, which I didn't do, but I did make some holes in some papers. So be careful there. Like I was saying, I was printing flexible nylon PC TPE material from Tallman. I printed out my Raspberry Pi Plus case, seemed to print pretty well. Since it's kind of small, it's like 89 millimeters. It's a good size, yeah, print for the Orion. Yeah. Be sure to check out the video on YouTube where it's very detailed and explanatory. Here I'm printing out a very big 150 mil. This is, I believe, the case that you were showing, which seemed to work pretty well. But there was some problems with the fittings and things. But when you're printing things like jewelry, like this bracelet, for example, you can really see how. This is 0.2 mil. It's not even 0.1. But it prints pretty well. Very minimal retraction problems here. So that is really nice. Now, printing bigger things, that's when you're going to probably run into some retraction problems, but you can just either clean that up or adjust your distance, your retraction distance and speed. I did get a couple instances where I clogged the extruder, and it really wasn't the extruder wasn't clogged, the nozzle didn't clog. It was actually that filament guide tube that got clogged. So removing that is pretty straightforward, and it also removes from the end where the filament loader is. So, although printing very tall things that are very detailed seem to work really well, I wasn't able to print this stuff on the MakerBot, but it prints pretty damn good on the Orion. And that's just like a little spiral vase that I designed a couple years ago. And then I came across the weird Z0 behavior problem that some Delta Orion owners are experiencing. Now, I'm not saying that this Orion is a victim of it. CME says it's not, but when you print outside of the bed, outside of the triangular perimeters, you might start seeing some parts that aren't leveled, some areas that aren't as leveled. But you can work a way around that by orienting your parts in certain ways. And there's a lot of it's discussed very heavily in the Orion forum, so you can check that out. There's a very long, lengthy thread on that.
Pages
yeah,
we linked
I haven't gone through all of it, but I made it halfway. And I was like, okay.
I mean, essentially, the one of the advantages of getting the CMC Orion is it comes pretty calibrated, pretty ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, my unit in particular, I got lucky and didn't have to do much tuning at all, even much adjusting of like the leveling. But there's some math involved that are translating the vertical movement into moving the head to all the positions. And if a couple of those factors are off, the expected radius and that kind of thing, you can get some unexpected behavior that's difficult to figure out. So this is, with any of like the polar bots, the delta bots, any of the ones that are using not a Cartesian method of moving, you want to definitely show photos and videos to folks and try to help troubleshoot with them if you have a problem, because it can be really hard to figure out, like, oh, okay, the radius is off, so like it's interpreting my whole thing as this kind of little rounded base.
Yeah, and there was some instances where I had to adjust the horizontal radius on the Orion, but that's like heavy. Like you shouldn't have to do that. Normally, it's all
The
calibrated.
easiest workaround, I think, is just rotate your part just a little bit, and that might be able to fix it.
Yeah. And make sure your cheapskate is tight.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was like, oh, it's loose.
You got it. You got it. It'll mess things up. I'm gonna do a quick run through of.
Wait, before just run last thing. It is in the shop. There's a guide on the Adafruit Learning System. Please check it out, and then the videos on YouTube as well. So yeah, let's jump into the community spotlight. We're gonna skip layer by layer this time. We're running out of time, but I do want to hear about your spotlight. So Matt, take it away.
So this week we get to share what a couple of our sort of favorite featured makers from the 3D world have to say about 3D printing, what the past year was like, and what was coming up. And we reached out to a lot of people that we've either done community spotlights of or have featured their projects. And there is a list of 17 of them. It's linked on the show announcement at 2, so you can check that out. You have, like James we just showed for X Robots, Matt Stultz, we were just mentioning his Cura suggestions and Orion suggestions, Mike Doyle. So check these out so that you can see a range of views on what is coming up and how to take stock of the year behind. So we wanted to shout out to everybody. I'm going to read all their names just real quick for fun. So it's James Bruton, Matt Stultz. Here, I'll turn off the...
Yeah. Shout out to
Michael, Tom Burtonwood, Ben Malouf, Gina Halska. I've almost gotten the pronunciation of that right. Todd Blatt, Andreas Bastian, who's Whatsis, Josh Jima, who's best known as Design Make Teach, Fred Call, I did one, Chris Kruger, who's known mostly as the new hobbyist in 3D circles, Jenny Cheng, Michael Overstreet, Tony Sherwood, and Robot Girl, and Aaron gave one that we shared this morning. So these pieces were fantastic. I really enjoyed sort of working back and forth with people over the last 2 weeks to kind of slowly share these. So go and enjoy them. So I guess we'll wrap up there. We can approach your chamfer piece next week.
Oh yeah, totally.
Maybe. I think
Actually,
next
no,
week.
it's too massive. Yeah.
We might talk about the game pie.
Yeah, maybe when we have to do just another review, where it's just.
I might do a
filament or
Catter Day.
something like
I might
that,
do a Catter Day.
Nice.
If you want me to do a Catter Day, let me know in the comment below. I'll do it.
Well, it's an exciting time with a lot of things starting to get sort of stirred up. The dust hasn't settled as far as like what actually is exciting of what's happening right now. But that's the show for this week. Thank you all for coming. And where can they see more of us online?
Sure, we got some links for you guys. Of course, there are many other projects on the Adafruit Learning System. Go check those out, please. We also post a lot of fun things on our Google Plus page. Of course, every Thursday, you gotta check out the blog. Got a lot of cool stories. Matt's holding it up. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and other places as well. So if you want to see maybe some BTS stuff, we're there.
Yep.
Trying to share. We care. Guys, thank you so much for watching.
That way.
Yeah. We'll be here next week.
Yeah.
Until then.
Yeah, that's it for this week. We'll see you all next week here, because we don't have so many holidays to be off this year. So
Yeah.
we're ready to do like 50 plus shows this year. So see you next week, and until then, we'll keep on printing.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.